All right, welcome everybody to the Board of Education special meeting, September 30th, 2021, 6:11 p.m. Apologize for the delay. Technology is our crutch at this moment. But Ms. Hageman, could you please call the roll?
Mr. Kane?
Here.
Mrs. Reese? Present. Mrs. Sebastian? Here. Mr. Elam?
Here.
Mrs. Mansfield? Here.
All right. Item number 2 is the ELP construction project. Review and approval of the GMP amendment. Laura, would I turn this over to you? Or
Yeah, so we have
discuss?
a presentation.
Okay.
Thank you. So Peterson Construction is here as well today, and they received 5 bids for the early site package. The bids came in great, under budget. You want to go on to the next slide? Oh, sorry. So a couple things that we did modify the documents after our last facilities committee meeting. We did modify the grading to try and get some of that rock out of that rock excavation to try and lower some costs. So we did modify the grading around the southwest corner of the stadium. And so we did move the discus and shot put out of that area. And then the next slide. We also went through and removed a section of the stormwater line and regraded the detention area to try and also get that large pipe out of the rock excavation to help lower those costs down as well. So the early site package is under budget. On the next slide then.
So if you can just a second, you say remove the stormwater line.
Yes,
Where does that water go?
into the detention pond.
Okay.
So instead of whisking all of that water straight down to the towards the road and then outletting there, instead we're outletting higher up the line into the detention pond.
Yeah, so it kind of sits out there.
Yeah, and so they'll apply different grass there or something like that, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
And can I ask a question about that as well?
Yeah.
So a lot of the things that we've cut, we're not able to put back without, all kinds of building redesign and stuff. Is this one of the things that could be put back if money popped up out of the ground somewhere? Or would that?
Tell us where you're finding it.
No, I'm just asking, I'm asking the possibility.
yeah,
I wouldn't
abso-
expect that, I'm just
Yeah,
asking because.
no, yeah, that could absolutely be added
Okay,
in the future.
because we have water
there'd be-
issues here and that would.
You'd have to
be-
pipe it, if you want to go back a slide. Yeah, so it's gonna come out of this manhole here, and there's gonna be a head wall here, so this line will go right in here, and be gravity fed down through there. So in the future, yeah, it'd take a little bit of rework, but yeah, you could basically intercept it somewhere here and then repipe it all the way back there. So it'd be running through a pipe versus running naturally over the ground.
So I thought it was the big yellow that was.
So this was deleted.
Yes.
Right, so that's what I was
That big
asking.
yellow
what
one.
happened.
So, yeah, so but basically from this manhole, instead of going here, then all the way out,
Okay,
we're gonna
gotcha,
go basically to right here.
okay.
And that's kind of the low point, so we get a head wall and it gets the invert right, and then it naturally drains down through there. But yeah, I mean, that's always something we could do in the future, a little bit of rework, but shouldn't be that big
But
of a
it's
deal.
possible.
Yeah,
Okay, thank you.
Did you just increase the fall rate so that we ensure that we get the rundown to the closer to the street? naturally?
So Nick has it all graded. I can show you the
Okay.
drawings. Yeah, it should all naturally fall. And obviously it's the detention pond, so it's supposed to hold water. So all the water, not permanently, but it comes down and then it goes through, I think, a 4-inch orifice. So that is your discharge point. That's how much water that can release naturally. So it doesn't flood your neighbors.
Well, and the water issues from the previous project was simply a pipe got omitted, and so the water was standing around the building, which wasn't, I mean, it was never designed that way, but somehow a pipe got left off the plan that had to be added to this when this was finished. I don't think that's gonna happen here, so you've got a legitimate path for the water to go, and that's what's important. I mean, I just don't want us to confuse things. Just because we had water problems on this project or drainage issues doesn't mean there's gonna be drainage problems on.
Well, that's not the way it was described to me. I was told that that was a conscious decision, that they spent the money elsewhere and took out that pipe and.
I don't know who told you that, but there was a pipe removed that should not have been.
Right, so that's, that's the worry, right, is are we doing something that may bite us in?
They still haven't passed from the water. That's the important, in my mind.
Yes, it's going to take a little longer to get all the way down. It will slow it down by, outletting up high. It'll take a while to get down to the bottom, which is why we were addressing that, planting different materials in that area because it could stay wet.
And that area is only receiving water from the parking lot, and the school itself. Is it the new building? Is there anything from the stadium moving that way as well?
Yeah, it all goes.
Okay.
Yep.
Simple, yeah. I was just
You
wondering.
got drawings, yeah, I can walk you through it.
Thank you.
Thank you, and sorry to interrupt. Thank you.
No, that's it. Glenn, do you want to add more on?
No, we work well with Thurman Miller's team. Reviewing the bids and just trying to find the best value to things. Some of the contractors had some good ideas, so that was really good too. And overall, we were actually pleased because it did come in a little bit under budget. It took a little work to get it there. We did, there is rock out there. So Thurman Miller's team did the best they can to shallow up a few pipes, still getting the proper fall, but trying to keep it so we're not going deep into the rock. So in the GMP document, basically that's one allowance that's going to be in there. And what that is we've tried to accommodate for our best guess of how many yards may be excavated in rock. We won't know until we get there. And then it's a unit price in there. And then from there, we're going to keep track of it. And then we just got to basically adjust at the end. But we think we got a decent amount in there to cover our best guesstimate. For the rock.
So with it coming in under, and we more than likely wouldn't at this time go ahead and select other options that were in that initial bid in case we run into problems, or would we look at other options?
No, so right now there was, I think, 3 or 4 alternates. One was the bus loop addition.
Yes.
The second one was a parking lot extension. Parking lot. The third one was some additional sidewalks, which really doesn't pertain to this bid package. And then the fourth one was some playground mulch, which really doesn't pertain to this package either. So all of those, our intentions are to wait until the GMP2 is bid, and then you can kind of overall see where you're at. The only one that the site guy kind of would like to know a little bit early, and it wasn't a huge amount, was the parking lot addition. Because while he's doing his cuts and fills with the dirt work, if he needs to stone that area, he'd like to stone it while we're doing the rest of the parking lot. But we don't need to know that decision today, but it may be a little bit earlier than the final GMP. So, and again, that wasn't a huge amount. So we can discuss that, I guess, later.
And are you guys happy with the number of bids we got back on this package?
Yeah, absolutely.
I get cut.
Yeah, I think we invited 10, we ended up getting 5. So, yeah, and they were actually fairly competitive overall.
So people, they just declined to bid.
Yes, yep. Some were too busy, just too much going on, didn't fit
Time
the
work,
timing.
time.
But thank you for reaching out to some of the local people. in the
Yeah.
area. We appreciate- Or I appreciate. Sorry.
So then the intent is that we're working on the documents right now to finish up the last package, the remainder of that. That will go out early November, out to bid. So that way we have those bids back early December and basically doing this process again. You'll see another packet just like this again. Of course, you're gonna see more of the bid packages rather than just one for site. You're gonna see multiples. of all the different contractors that are bidding the different packages. But then that will go into the second GMP, your second contract. So the intent is you will only have 2 contracts for this project, one for the early site package and then one for the remainder of the project. Any questions on that?
So when you say one for the remainder, is that one for the school or the school and the stadium? There's
All of it,
all of it.
So the site packages for both the school and the stadium?
right?
Yeah, and the only reason we did the early side is so we can start moving dirt now when it's ideal timing versus if we just wait until the final docks are done, we would start moving in November, December, and the weather is bad. Okay, yeah, so that's the only reason we kind of broke out this package.
And when do you see us needing to approve the GMP two?
That'll be in December.
That's, I'm sorry.
That's fine.
I just wanted to make sure. So we'll be doing that at our regular facilities and board meeting that Monday. We'll be back by then. The date.
So I don't know, I think you're shooting for November 3rd-ish,
Yes.
something like that. So it'll probably be three weeks for bidding. And then we'll probably need some more additional time to actually go through. I mean, I forget how many packages we have, 20, 25 packages. So it's gonna take it some time to get all the bidders in and vet them out.
Our regular board meeting isn't until the 22nd
Of December.
November.
Oh, we won't meet that.
The 13th of December.
I know, I thought you were talking about.
No, we won't make November.
December 13th.
Yep.
So
It might be close. We'll see. Yep.
What's that date?
For the November meeting.
Yeah.
I have the 22nd,
Yeah.
since the convention is there. December 13th would be.
Okay.
Regular meeting.
So we'll try for that, and if not,
We'll try for that, but I don't want to push it too hard if we're still going through details.
Okay. Thank you.
I would think it's a lot more important to reconcile and get everything where you're comfortable than rush.
So we do have in their contract, there's 2 allowances. One is for the rock excavation, holding a cost for that. We also have an allowance in there then for unsuitable soil. So if we find anything that's soft, won't compact, there's a allowance there in their contract that they can take from that allowance to fix those soils. You do have a soils engineer on the project, CDC engineers who you're already contracted with. They'll be on site to do compaction testing. They'll be on site to take a look at the rock excavation, what is getting excavated. We do have unit costs in there as well for that. So that way, as they encounter the rock, and you'll be seeing from CDC engineers how much rock that was, and you'll know exactly what those costs are going through. So that is, when we were doing the estimates, we did not have any rock excavation included. We didn't have any unsuitable soils. If we encountered any of that, that would come under your contingency, your owner contingency. But this came in under budget, and so right now, this allowance, we have this in there. So we would take from this allowance first and not touch your contingency. So if that helps. But anything that goes above those 2 allowances, say we go above that, we find more rock, then we would then take from contingency to pay for those things.
And I believe you stated in the past that that rock number it's pretty, I mean, you're feeling comfortable with this number now, but it was pretty precarious there for a while of how large that number would be or how small it would be, right? Is that
Right, and so that was the number I had given you before. That was before we went through and made modifications. So that number came down almost
like the pipe? and
more
stuff?
than half. So,
And moving the discus and the chocolate.
yes,
Okay.
Yep.
So that's much better. I mean, this is a much better number than one that was volleyed out there in meetings of like, you know. So, okay. By 2/3 long. That was a lot.
any questions on the GMP?
I just want to make sure I understand this. So the rock allowance and the unsuitable soils allowance, that's basically what we were under budget. So it's included in there as an allowance.
It's included in their contract. So say we need to spend $20,000 on rock allowance, you would not have to write a change order. It's already in their contract as an allowance. They just take from that. We wouldn't have to keep doing a change order. for each one of those. So
But
that's
those are the amounts that we were under budget? Is that why they're those amounts or?
no, those are those amounts because with the rock excavation, that is their best guess is what they think they're going to encounter.
Okay. Gotcha.
Unsuitable soils, that's just a number.
That's just a lump sum.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't want to be that ignorant person, but can you specifically tell me what unsuitable soils really are? Like, is that like quicksand? Like, what are we talking about here? I mean, really?
Yeah.
Can you define it for me?
Yeah, it could be something similar to that.
Okay,
We could excavate down to the subgrade we're supposed to go to, and it could be real punky and soft. And then
like so-
anything we do, though, will have to be under the recommendation of your professional soils engineer, and
Sure.
then they will come in and say, okay, you know, keep trying to dry it. Is it going to get to a suitable bearing capacity? Or he might say, this area here, we want to cut it out, take it down a foot, 2 foot, and then a lot of times they have different remedies of how they want to fix it. You'll bring clay back in and pack it back in, or
Right.
sometimes they may say timeout, let's put a geogrid down and then put the soil back on, or they may say, let's come in with like a number 2 rock, a bigger rock, and try to bridge it and then go on top of it. But I mean, with the rock being down there, at some point we reach a limit that it has to be good buried at some point.
So does that number include like the soil engineers coming in and figuring out what that is, or is that a
No.
whole separate line item?
That'd be a whole separate one.
Okay.
Yeah, so the soils engineer is all under your contract, a separate purchase order you guys.
Yeah, that's the contract you already have in place.
Okay. Well, that helps that number, is my point. Okay. Yep. Thank you. And I think I saw that excluded was like things like concrete, asphalt, all that, none of that is part of this.
Great, that'll be in the next package. So basically, in a nutshell, what this package is, it's an early site, so we'll have erosion control around the outside. We'll put up the silt fence, they'll strip topsoil, then they'll do their cuts and fills to get it to the grades that Herb Miller had on the drawings. And then from there, we're stoning the parking lots, and then we do the utilities. So we'll do the water, the sanitary, and the storm sewers around there. At the stadium, we'll leave it at a subgrade level, and that's it. Then in the future package, you'll have your football field, turf, whatever you want to do, and then your asphalt and your stone for the track is not included. So, you know, and then at the end, they'll come in and actually distribute the topsoil and, clean it up. So in a nutshell, that's what it is. Asphalt, concrete, plantings, all that'll be in the future.
I thought for the inside, exactly what it sounds like.
What action are you looking from us at this point? Is to approve the GMP 1 as it is listed?
Yep.
I do have one other question. This is just a general one. Are we still on track to have students in this building at beginning of school year 23?
Right now, yeah.
Year from now?
Yep.
Or 2 years?
I mean,
Sorry, 2
2
years
years
from
from
now.
now. Yeah, no, we're still on schedule. Garmin Miller's still on schedule. I mean, just got to react to the market as it comes, but there's no reason to foresee not.
I was basing the question on the line item, the substantial completion of all
Oh,
the
so-
dates.
Yeah, the only reason I put that in there, and that is quite long for the early site package, but they need to come in at the very end to finish up the topsoil and whatnot. So, and usually that's,
So that's
after
completely
school,
related to the.
yeah.
Okay, perfect.
yeah.
Yeah, that made me nervous. So,
Is there additional details you would like to provide them?
Early site package.
Okay. The question I have is, with some of the alternates coming in at the lower number, not particularly like the parking lot expansion, that would we go ahead and do that early, or can say that now, since it's so low with the amount of overage, the amount of allowances that we have, or potentially, we would want to lean on any dollar in any of the allowances potentially for what comes from GMP two.
See,
Wait
that's
till we see
why
this, the total package before
Yeah,
we would
so
make
that's
any of
why-
those decisions.
those alternates, we pulled them out as alternates and we asked that they be held until GMP two. So when we get our final costs for GMP two in basically 2 months, you'll have all of the costs laid out before you of all of the alternates, because we do have quite a list of alternates.
And
Things
we
that
appreciate
that
that.
you've had to pull out to stay on budget. And so having that full list of alternates in front of you, then you get to pick and choose which one you want.
Okay.
So we would recommend that you would wait on these alternates at this point.
Thank you.
You mentioned, Glenn, the parking.
Yeah, that parking, that's not a big dollar amount, but I'd say just hold on that for now. If we get to the point of, hey, we need an answer, we'll come to you and ask.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So the only thing we need to approve tonight is a motion to accept the ELPP construction project GMP one.
I'll make a
Package.
motion.
So Lori
I'll
for the
second.
motion,
I'll
Lida for the second. Thank you. Any further discussion? I appreciate the options and making sure that keeping as we step through this process and potentially can get everything we all wanted. Those alternate bids are extremely helpful, I think. That way, if any of the environments change or the prices come down, it gives us the best opportunity to provide the most that we possibly can. So thank you for looking out for that. Kirsten, thank you as well for working hand in hand with Garmin to work on getting some of those changes in place so that we can be where we need to. Thank you. All right, next would be any other discussion? Ms. Hagerman, will you please call the vote?
Mr. King,
Yes.
Mrs. Reese,
Yes.
Mrs. Sebastian.
Yes,
Mr. Elam,
Yes.
Mrs. Mansfield.
Yes.
All right. Does the board have a requirement for an executive session? All right. Having none, then do we have a motion for adjournment?
I just wanted to ask a question concerning the flooring and so forth of that document that I was looking at in the gym and in the academic hallways and so forth. Some of the acronyms didn't match up for me. The gym will not have wooden floor, will not have wood floor, will have is that correct?
No, it never did have a.
Right,
wood
oh,
floor.
okay, I know, but there were 3 of those hardened surfaces. Is that just something that we'll be looking at later to decide on?
Well, my understanding is that was supposed to be on tonight's agenda, which is why I have brought others to talk about some of those things. And that was also in the presentation that I sent.
Yeah.
I saw it up there, that's why
Well, we voted on the one, on that action item. Is there another action item we might need to vote on tonight?
If you could look at the cost options, the post DD cost options that you asked us to look at, we have those for you.
Oh, my apologies, I went too fast. The item that had on the agenda was the whole project, so.
Go.
We need to make another motion on the other one, so please,
That'd be fantastic.
please continue.
Oh, I don't think we can do that.
What?
Because it's not listed in the. It's not listed in the agenda.
It's
it says. in-
category 2, the ELPP construction project. It's everything.
Says any business that
Yeah, but that's not legal. We can say that, but.
So I guess that's where I'm confused, because I thought all we were doing was approving this, so I apologize and I'll take full blame, but, so if there were additional documents that Justin, Mr. Ferks had. So is that what we're discussing as well? Okay,
So,
but is that not part of, it's not part of this?
correct, it is not. It's for the next package.
Okay,
So
GMP two.
Can we talk
may I
about it on?
propose that we're not gonna take action? Is it okay to just let them present to us? Since they are here, and have a work session on next week, we can put it on that agenda.
Can we do it at the work session?
I don't know, I'm trying to.
Have them come back.
Samples.
We don't have any samples. That,
Okay.
everything's on the PowerPoint.
Is that Tina? You know the rules better than I do. If we're not taking any action, are people allowed to speak to us? Or no?
I mean, it's part of the ELLP construction, I can't speak, but according to, I only advertised based on the approval of this. So I didn't realize that we were gonna be discussing any more. So,
I was looking at the agenda item.
yeah,
I see the advertisement.
um,
Did you just have it there, Julie? The notice?
it was advertised
Yeah,
as
it's
this,
used
that's what it is.
Yeah, it was that top paragraph.
If you just go right there.
Yeah, for
that's
the
what it
current
says.
construction project and any other business that may come before the Board of Education, because that's always my catch-all, but our friends.
There's no catch-all for a special meeting. That's the issue, is that it's a special.
So,
We have the people here though. We have the people here and we've seen the slideshow already.
I don't know, we're not doing anything. I just don't know if people to talk to us. I don't know. That's my question.
John said that we couldn't do any other business based on that announcement.
right. Yeah, we can't do any other business, but you can't vote on anything, because that was the only
Right.
thing that we had advertised.
business.
So. I know there's been a lot of controversy about what can and cannot be said during a special meeting.
Right.
So,
It is a special meeting.
mhm.
But what we can do is we can adjourn the meeting. If two of our members would like to listen to the presentation, then it would no longer be a meeting.
Correct.
Well, can they Zoom on Tuesday and, or is it something that you can't do that? I mean, I know you'd rather be here, but is it possible to just cover it for everybody on Tuesday?
You have it Tuesday?
Yeah, we have a meeting in three work days.
yeah,
At 7:30.
It could be available.
Okay.
Because that way we don't violate anything legally.
Right.
If you had been a little more generic on line item A.
And I will from now on.
It has to
Lesson learned
it has
from
to
this
pertain
point
to
on.
the topic.
Yeah, so, yeah, right. We
So,
can do
so
that.
Jacob's point, if it had just said, PP construction project.
Yeah, I was looking at
That
our
way you couldn't
agenda
have done
versus the
anything.
thing. That's
Yeah.
what like it covers everything. My apologies.
But it's only 3 days, right? So you'd be okay.
It's 5 days for a vote. I think we'd have to, you need a vote at least by Tuesday night, right?
If we can.
So that it helps
That way we
close
can
that,
finish the
so you can
document.
submit for the early package.
Work sessions.
I thought the flooring was gonna be at the next facilities meeting.
The thing is, if we wait that long. So we were going to meet, and talk with your interiors group and then just bring it before you. But really, we're getting a little late to try and do that. If we can get something earlier, then we can have more time to complete those documents by November 3rd. It's the concern.
Presumably these don't come from the same vendor.
Well, we also said if it's an emergency, we need to vote on it, and this is something they need action on so we can get the bid package out. I mean, it's your choice, Julie. Either we talk about it tonight or we talk about it Tuesday and vote on it Tuesday.
I don't think we should talk about it tonight.
Then we're gonna vote
The
Tuesday.
sunshine laws say you can't.
Okay, there was a miscommunication in producing the agenda. That's whatever, right? It's over and done with. So you will be okay with us voting on this Tuesday night, correct? No, I want
don't
to
know,
answer
Lori.
yes or no.
I mean, we've committed to have a facilities committee that reviews this stuff and we've consistently excluded them and just brought decisions to them that are already made, basically. So I am concerned about that. I mean, the idea of having the facilities committee is that they get to participate. So we would once again be doing before we.
Then one of the items, since we can't make any further decisions or discuss about the facilities committee, because it doesn't fall in line with our item for the special meeting. We can move forward with the ending of the meeting
Yes.
and I will discuss with the facilities chair if there's an opportunity for them to have a special meeting prior to Tuesday, so we can move forward. But that's not part of this agenda. So,
Agree,
Um,
100%.
do we have a motion for adjournment?
I did that, yeah.
I'll move. Oh, you did?
Oh, okay.
Second, Julie.
Julie got it.
So Danny was the first, Julie is the second. Any further discussion?
That's right.
Apologize for our error. But we do follow the requirements of House Sunshine Law, and we want to ensure that our community knows that as well. Any other discussion?
Thank you so much. And thank you for your help. I appreciate you.
You're welcome. Ms. Hageman, will you please call the vote for
Miss-
adjournment?
Mr. King,
Yes.
Mrs. Reese,
Yes.
Mrs. Sebastian.
Yes.
Mr. Elam,
Yes.
Mrs. Mansfield.
Yes, to vote.
Meeting adjourned at 6:43 PM.
I'll answer whatever you call me, as long as you honor your supper, right? Isn't that how it goes?
I have drawings if anybody wants to see
Woo,
the
I
site
see.
plan and
Nice.
if you have questions about the sewer or whatever.
And at the bottom.